Croatia, also with Steven's projects. It was an enemy project in Croatia, so keep up the good work. Okay, so I will start in English, and so I go to this collaboration in English now, not in Croatian, so you will have to keep up with my English with the Russian accent. Okay, it's I shared with my friend James. I shared the story of my one story from my youth. The chairs are piled up like a foreigner's calligrams. White salty sardines are being served on turpentine.
The folk debate endlessly what's better, a goose's feather or aqua tinter.
In the wine cellar, opposite the Zagreb Cathedral, after many glasses of wine and distorted visions, I heard a voice asking me, did I ever read The Gaspard of the Night? A bohemian figure, clinging to the bar counter like a tree, worried like it was a matter of life and death. Have I ever? No, but he seemed so upset that his friend, the smoked barracuda sailor, had to jump in. Gaspard of the Night is the key of the poetry of the world. And I resemble a Filipino that tried to stab him with a dagger through the heart once long ago in the Sea of China, on the night of the darkest ink. Oh no, never. I was born here in Zagreb, just a few miles away. Never boarded any long-distance ship. But Magellan's compass always find a Filipino, he said, pointing the broken glass in my direction. Magellan was not murdered by Filipinos, I replied. It was a conspiracy of Spanish captains longing for home, and the accused Filipino tribe chief was 70 years old. The straw-like strength against Spanish armor. So you admit being a Filipino, he said, bringing out the razor, and we rested like wine flies around the cellar until time came for another bottle of wine.
We share a few things in common, Tomica. I am also not Filipino and have never read Gaspar. I passed through the week like a moth inside a thick curtain. I remember though that Gaspar restaurant in Paris, the one my wife liked. They had a few lines on the wall along with other curios. How the madame chain smoked between courses and the waiter had a way with the butter. It's closed now. I see our child on weekends. Just this morning, I started the poem in French, but kept stopping in the middle of the sentence. Distance, discord, the dorsal route to debate, interfolds between prefix and verb, disdare, dispute, strife, learning how to stand apart, no more strife, how to stand between the map and the void. In the restaurant, a room full of blooded napkins, how to write out violence as it happens. Image of a man with mummy rags for trousers, his arm in a sling and all his possessions stored in a potato sack. Carpool tunnel, but at the head of the procession, a war clan pillaged. It's enough to scare the crows. Grizzled, he looks away from the frame, eyes drawn from bracken and charcoal, and scratches a long, blunt beard.
I cannot believe it, said the Bohemian tree. You never read Gaspard of the Night by Bertrand. It's like being a drunken diver, unable to distinguish where is the bottom or where is the surface of the sea. Two distances that never met.
It's just an inlay cartoon. Madame never touched the plates. I wipe my eyes clean in a room full of smoke, fire, and flies. I pass through the week like a moth inside a lavender curtain.
Let someone else explain who Gaspard of the Night was, or let him just disappear from the library shelves, if he is still somewhere collecting dust and being eaten by worms. He had those extraordinary visions, fine. Many a prophet has them. Baudelaire gave him body, and Maurice Ravel packed him inside his slippery notes. But that was long ago, a distance too far to overpass. Forget him for the sake of the future generations. Unfortunately, I met him by the chance, not in a book, but personally, the dark Gaspard himself.
It's hard to distinguish dreaming from washing the clothes of the dead. Since I saw you in Zagreb, Tomica, I was laughing in my sup, and everything's tilted, so much breath, nipped with a knife. Last night I dreamt of human jackals and woke up arguing with the silence of the room. I spent too long trying to measure the impossible axes. Can't see the stars in broad daylight.
Look at Gaspard gathering all street shadows into one. The pigeon he nourished once plucked his eye out, but he refuses to renounce it for the sudden injuries at the scars of true art. Whereas Impressionism was created one afternoon out of pure leisure, accompanied with wine made of pollen.
Distance between the melody and the chords. How much did you listen in, living in the after cave? The mirror doesn't have an eye, it needs us to see it, Selved, cellular. Looking back over the page, it reads, the data is feminine. She, genie, in the midst of unanswered questions. How much did you listen in? Sorry yous missing in the mirror, dispersed among the crowd's afternoon roar. Stitch into scar, the distance between song and melody, an echo abbreviated in the aftercave. You speak it out loud.
All those artists with their different visions, who but Gaspard could bring them together? Marc Chagall went grey from worrying about Gaspard. Figures floating above the canvas as the vistas of white Russian winter merge unexpectedly with violet and green bottle-like colors. His paintings growing narrower and narrower with fewer and fewer figures as he himself grew more and more frugal. Where there used to be 3 animals, now you could spot only one, while the whole house would fit inside a single window frame as the church is reduced to a belfry. Delaunay's paintings, replete with light seeping into the shutters, represent a view from inside the rib cage of a human body stumbling exhausted from all that burden. Gaspard of the night, like the life of the art created under his cloak, belongs to that daring and unique part of synchronized time. Gaspard of the night is that what John Barleycorn was to Jack London, and Apollinaire also called him out when he named his book of verse Alcohol.
Thank you.